I got 4 movies here. 4 movies that I think are classics for one reason or another. Classics, iconic movies, almost. Now, it's been maybe a couple of weeks since I saw a few of these. This one I just saw like 2 days ago. This one, yeah, I watched it about a week ago. I kind of wish I didn't. But we'll get to that later. First up, we got The Blob. Steve McQueen in Blob. Doesn't say The Blob, just says Steve McQueen Blob. 1958. It's a classic sci-fi movie. Oh, it says The Blob on the back and on the side. Okay, The Blob. I'm not going to read you all that because that's ridiculous. Why couldn't you just read it yourself? Pause the video right here. See, lighting's good. You're good to go. Steve McQueen, in one of his very first movie roles, I think his first movie role, plays the protagonist in this one. Meteorite from outer space crashes. Well, they don't come from really anywhere else other than outer space, or what they defined as outer space back in 1958. Anyhow, yeah, the meteorite crashes and it oozes out this like jello pudding thing. Reminds me of Jello. It looks like Jello. Kind of looks like the slime in Ghostbusters 2. Anyhow, it's the Blob, and it emerges from the meteorite. It immediately starts like devouring people, and then it gains strength as it gets bigger as it eats more people. And Steve McQueen, who I think was like 26 when he made this movie, plays the leader of a gang of teenagers. He does not look like a teenager there. Anyway, this gang of teenagers and their hot rods and stuff, and they actually they all band together with his help and with the help of the police, whom they cooperate with, to stop the Blob. They realize that it won't follow them into the freezer, so that it's cold actually damages it, or I guess it's susceptible to cold. It can freeze it solid or whatever. So they freeze it with like fire extinguishers or whatever, a certain type of fire extinguishers, which they go around town collecting and all that. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Then they collect it up and they put it in a capsule and they shoot it out, not into outer space again, but no, they put it and bury it in the Arctic because it's cold up there. And the Blob won't do any damage to anybody until early 21st century and global warming and yeah, all that stuff. Who knew? So 2021 could very well be the year of the Blob if things keep going the way they're going. Great movie. You should watch it. It's not as boring as some 50s movies I've watched, and it's also a nice snapshot of not necessarily how life was back then, but how maybe people wanted it to be. Everybody gets along, everybody's cooperative, fighting a faceless enemy, obviously hostile enemy. Everybody bands together and they solve the problem. And it has a positive message for that. It's a positive Blob. Anyway, we're done. We're done with you, Blob. Until I can get my hands on a copy of Son of the Blob. And here we go. Okay, now you've probably heard a bunch of stuff online about this movie, and I'm going to say I don't know how much of it is true because of course I wasn't there, but there's a lot of really interesting stories, specifically about these two actors, and how big of assholes they both were when this movie was being made, and just stretching out the production time just to suit their own egos. They both wanted equal billing because Val Kilmer, I think, at the time thought of himself as the modern day Marlon Brando. And Marlon Brando, who was well past being at the peak of his career. Actually, I think this was his last movie. That's too bad. I mean, yeah, he did some great stuff in the past. I heard he was also an asshole on the set of Apocalypse Now, but that's neither here nor there. This is What's the story even about? It's so dumb. Yeah, a third character who doesn't even appear on our protagonist, who doesn't even appear on the cover of this box. There might be a picture of him on the back. Let's see. Yeah, that guy right there. Now you might recognize that guy. Turned into a werewolf, a shitty looking werewolf in Harry Potter. But this movie, he gets stranded at sea. He gets picked up, rescued on a boat driven by Val Kilmer, who's this crazy like assistant, like scientist, I don't even, gamekeeper, or just general sidekick to Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is Dr. Moreau. Val Kilmer, and I don't want to remember their names in the movie, and I'm not looking it up because I'm not watching this movie again. Anyway, Val Kilmer picks him up and takes him to the island of Dr. Moreau, who this guy runs right here. Dr. Moreau was like this scientist that, he did some crazy experiments back in the day and kind of exiled himself to his own private island where he can conduct his experiments in peace. And his experiments are basically about kind of combining human and animal DNA, traits, making half human, half beast type people, which he rules over like the emperor. And he has these, like, or as God, really, or I guess that's the point of the movie, is he tries to make himself God. And it's so bad, I don't even want to talk about it. They barely got this movie into theaters, and I think it cost something like 50, 60 million, maybe more. I have no idea. Because, I don't want to look it up again. Anyway, don't waste your time with this movie. I don't even know why I'm talking about it so long, because it sucks. Okay, let's just end this already. The Island of Dr. Moreau. Don't see it, but I encourage you to learn about it, if that helps. Yeah, okay, great review, Andy. Remember, I was saying that, these movies that I chose this time around, which of course are like recent watches for me, were all kind of like iconic movies. So icons, you want to talk icons, this guy, everybody knows this guy. Come on. You don't have to like him. I do. I know he wasn't a perfect human being, that's for sure. He was kind of a dick. I hear he was pretty racist. I don't want to spread any rumors that that you haven't heard a million times already. Whatever. He could sing. This motherfucker could sing. Sing his ass off, just like Eddie Murphy says. And actually, Eddie Murphy does a perfect impersonation of Elvis. And he actually even kind of dressed like that, too. Yeah, this has got your... It's Elvis on tour, but it's not just like concert footage. It's actually behind-the-scenes stuff of the tour. What he was doing when he was on the road and what kind of stuff. And, they go into a little bit of history about him and stuff. It's a full-length documentary, and it's actually really good. And it's actually on the same production value as the Woodstock movie, I would say. I think it's almost as popular. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question, but it's Elvis, man. What do you want? Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to break into the Elvis songs right now, but they're on here, man. All the good ones. Like, this is a good 5 years before he died. Yeah, Elvis on tour. Check it out, y'all. You know what's up. Okay, I guess this one's classic, and it's iconic. Iconic because it's pretty 80s, And classic because it's a sci-fi movie with very little sci-fi in it. The budget for this movie couldn't have been that high. This is a Ron Howard movie, I believe. Yes, and Cocoon. Okay, so there's aliens, right? And aliens have visited our world in the past, right? Got it. And I guess off the coast of Florida somewhere, there was a ship crashed or something like that, or some of the aliens were kept in suspended animation inside cocoons, which are scattered about the coast around Florida. And this being the 80s, and I guess Maybe this was like a recruitment poster to get old people to go move to Florida, because in this movie everybody lives in Florida. Well, of course they do, because it takes place there. All the old people. There's an old folks home right next door to a property that's rented out by more aliens who come to Earth to retrieve the guys that are in suspended animation in their cocoons in the water. So they go and they get them, and they put them on their rented property, and they put them in the pool, I guess. And so a bunch of the old guys from the old folks home next door, they sneak in there and they use the pool, and they're like, ho 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 ho, yeah, we're getting away with something, haha. We just go and through this break in the fence, and they'll never know we're swimming in their pool and we're getting our exercise and we're being bad boys, even though we're all like 80. And the cast is really good. Like, the old guys are really good. Like Don Amici, Hume Cronin, what the hell's his name? Wilford Brimley. Anyway, it's those main three, and it's pretty good. It's about, getting old and what it's like being retired, and then getting a second chance to, getting all your strength back and your vitality and your health and everything. But then by the end of it, it's like, well, okay, you can't enjoy this benefit forever because of certain events that happen, and I don't want to go into. But they also have another chance to live forever and to get on board the alien spacecraft and go into space and hang out with aliens. And they won't get any older, and they won't ever die. That's my Wilford Brimley impersonation there. Yeah, it's heartwarming. It's sad. There's, old people die and stuff, and it deals with like cool themes and stuff, and it's heartwarming, and it's kind of amusing and funny at the same time. You can see the super old dude like breakdancing, which is obviously a body double, but it's funny, and yeah, stuff like that. And I would recommend checking this out. It's it is a classic. It's one of the movies that I fondly remember from the 80s. I used to have the sequel, Cocoon: The Return, and I know that I even showed it on camera in one of my videos, or I think I did, but for the life of me, I cannot find that movie anymore, and I'm pissed. Now I'm going all over town, all the thrift stores, looking for VHS copy of Cocoon: The Return, because I think it's pretty much exactly the same as this one with the same cast and everything. But yeah, it's good. It's sci-fi. There's not a huge amount of action in it. Actually, there's little to no action until the very end, and even then, it's like kind of pretty subdued. I mean, what do you want from Don Amici? And the guy was like 78 years old when he made this movie. So yeah, I mean, come on, people.